Ladies and gentlemen, we are super excited for the inaugural, first ever Olami613 Mensch of the Month, who is sitting right to my left, who is India McFarlane.
Thank you.
The crowd is going wild. Ladies and gentlemen, it's deafening the roar.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, India, this is really like, honestly, a family affair. This is some people in our lives transcend just students or participants. I can speak from the entire staff telling you that you really are part of the mishpacha in every way, and for several years now. So, Mazel Tov, congratulations on your Mensch of the Month award, and to be viewed by thousands around the world, millions, who knows? And thank you for being part of everything.
Thank you for having me.
Now, are you excited for this in-depth interview to share all of your deep secrets about life with everyone?
I'm ready. I'm stoked.
Okay, so India, you've obviously been involved for several years, but let's rewind the camera, the history books a little bit. Tell us a little about growing up, where you grew up.
Well, I grew up in the wonderful city of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Had a very relatively normal childhood. I did gymnastics. I took piano lessons. I had a math tutor. Being Jewish was not part of my life at all.
Really?
Really.
Okay, but before we get to the Jewish stuff, because I know I'm the rabbi, I want to hear about the Jewish
Yeah.
stuff. Tell us about the gymnastics and the sports and the school. You went to public school?
I went to public school. What can I tell you about gymnastics? You were looking at the level 6 year, 2002 or 3 state champion on the vault.
All right. Do you realize what important people we have involved over here? Unbelievable. Okay, so you were serious into gymnastics. How many years did we do that?
I started when I was very little, so I don't know how many of those years count, but I stopped when I was maybe 14.
Okay, piano.
Piano, I had recitals.
You told me you loved having your parents there, right? You
I would
wanted
actually-
everyone you knew you wanted there, right?
I would actually, when I got older, would beg my parents, please don't come, because I had such bad stage fright, and I knew that them being there would make it worse.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, tell us. So, when we talk about Jewish names, McFarlane isn't exactly the first name. It's like maybe the third, like Goldberg, Goldstein, and then we go straight to McFarlane in terms of like the Jewish. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your Jewish background.
So my mother was Jewish. Both her parents were Jewish, mom and dad. But I don't think that she had a big Jewish identity particularly. I think it was something she knew about herself, but it was not, it just wasn't, it was like a fact about herself and not like a central component of her life.
Interesting.
So
And we'll talk later about when the Poland trip. I know that your mother's line goes all the way back to Poland, and like the rest of the Ashkenazi world.
I know, it's not unique.
Okay, and tell us about your father's side.
So she met my dad on a cruise.
Cool.
He was from Australia. Wonderful, amazing man, amazing family. And they got together in their late 30s. They met when they were 37.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Newsflash. Okay.
And started a family and had my brother Max and I.
Okay. So you're the younger.
I'm the younger of the two, and he just had a baby last week.
Mazel tov. So
Thank you,
exciting.
a baby girl.
So exciting. Okay, great. And he's married to Tori. Okay, good. And
Yes.
they live in LA still, or no?
No, they moved to Nashville.
So you're the younger sister. You're growing up. What's your first Jewish encounter?
So my mom got sick when I was like high school age. And maybe when I was, 14 or 15, she kind of like casually mentioned it to me, like, by the way, you're Jewish.
Meaning, up until then, it wasn't on your radar at all?
No, I barely knew. I mean, maybe I knew at some point, but like I really didn't know. Like I had no idea what it meant.
I mean, I tell people that there are stories about people who like grow up and like, but this is really incredible.
Yeah, so I really didn't know until like she was sick. And she sat down and told me, like, by the way,
What do you
just so
think?
you know.
Was it connected to the sickness that she felt a certain, maybe towards the end of life, that she wanted to tell you something important, or?
It's possible. You know, I think it's really possible. I don't know that she knew how much community was out there and how much knowledge was out there about Judaism. I think it was just something she wanted me to know before she passed on.
Wow.
And whatever I did with it, you know, that was my own.
You're a symbol for us, Rabbi Marcus, who's filming, and for the Garfinkels, of triumph over tragedy. So if you don't mind just maybe sharing a little bit, I know both your parents died, and so I don't know want to share a little bit of what order and how that happened, and maybe the impact.
I mean, it was just a series of unfortunate events. My mom got sick. She was diagnosed when I was 14 or 15 with stage 4 colon cancer. She passed away when I had just turned 17. And then my dad was diagnosed like a few months later with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He wasn't in the best health anyways to begin with, so he passed on about a year after his diagnosis.
Wow. So how far apart were your parents?
It was like a little less than 2 years.
Gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so I think I was 19 when he passed away. And it was really hard, but you know, you got to keep going.
It's amazing, amazing. Did that inspire you to become a nurse? Or was that something you always wanted to be in the medical field?
So I really always wanted to work in the medical field. I kind of dropped it for a while when my parents were sick. I wasn't interested in, you know, being away at school for long periods of time and not being home. So after my dad passed away, it took me a while, but I decided to get it together and apply to college. And I remember, like, I had never took the SATs. So you remember those like fat SAT books?
Yes,
like
I remember them well, very well.
So I had a secretary job, and I would finish my secretary job at 4 o'clock or something. And I remember going and sitting in a park, those like concrete park benches,
sure,
like tables, picnic tables, and I did the whole SAT book.
Incredible. And you built yourself up by yourself. There's a 19-year-old girl, and you've been through a double tragedy, and haven't taken the SATs. So you take the SATs. I imagine you do pretty well because I know where you went to school.
Yeah, so I think I was 20 when I took them. I went and took it with a bunch of high school kids in a high school. That's where they host the SATs.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I did very well. And I went to UCLA, and it was great. It totally changed my life.
Incredible. So, India, you've always been inspiring to us, but I can't imagine, it's such a Jewish, even before you were aware Jewishly of your Jewish identity, you express the best of what it means to be Jewish. Judaism is all about, look, for the last 2,000 years, we've been picked on, we've been beat up, we've been harassed and everything, and the Jewish spirit does not get down. And if we get knocked down, we get right back up, and I think your life is such a tribute. You were living Judaism before you actually tapped into the teachings of it, which is amazing. So tell us, so UCLA, and I think UCLA then, that's when your first real Jewish experience happened, and I have a personal connection to that, ironically, but please.
So it was my first week at UCLA. They have the super big activities fair where all the clubs on campus have a booth, and you go around and you meet people and you see what you want to join. So that day I joined the Quidditch club.
What is the Quidditch club?
We played Quidditch. And also on that day, a woman came up to me and she said, "Are you Jewish?" And I said, "Yeah, how could you possibly know that?"
And this woman, let's give her tremendous credit, is
Bracha Zeret in Los Angeles. Amazing, amazing woman, still doing outreach to this day.
Amazing. And to insert my own personal story, when Suri and I left rabbinic school and living in Israel, married for 6 years, our first job was doing Jewish outreach with her group called JAM, Jewish Awareness Movement, in UCLA. So Bracha met you after we had left UCLA, but I remember those activity fairs, and it was like everyone, the Buddhist comes out there, and the ping pong club, and the scuba diver club, and the Quidditch club, and the whatever club, and we would, and there was no one like Bracha who would just go and find the Jews. Are you Jewish? Now, what's amazing is that she looked at you and asked. She was the best at identifying a Jewish spark.
I asked her how she knew. She said it was my hair.
Really? Amazing. She's amazing. Okay, so then you got involved a little bit or a lot bit with Jam?
So she asked me to get coffee with her, and I said, sure, why not? And we got coffee many, many, many times. After, I also blew her off many, many times and slept through it and forgot. And, life's crazy in college. But she really persisted, and I learned so much from her. I had my first ever Shabbat dinner at her house. I had my first ever Jewish lessons and lectures at their center by the UCLA campus. I went to Israel for the first time with her, so she really impacted me a lot.
Amazing. Zeretz are truly, truly amazing people, and as you said, still making that incredible impact, and we gained so much from being there for 3 years. Okay, so take us forward. Somehow you get to Chicago at a certain point.
Yeah, so I tutored my way through college mostly.
Wow.
And I was tutoring a teenage girl, and she came from a religious family, and I would go to their home, and I really liked them, actually loved them a lot. The Greenbergs in LA.
Wow.
And when I was thinking of moving, I was talking to her mom, and I had a couple different options of schools to go to, and Chicago was one of them. And she said, why don't you go to Chicago? You definitely should, because there's a Jewish community there. Wow. And it hadn't occurred to me to care about that or to look for that.
Wow.
But what she said really impacted me, and I said, that's probably a good idea, because at least maybe I can make a friend or two.
See, already the power of the Jewish community is impacting it. We're going to see. So you come to Chicago.
I came to Chicago. I told the Zeretz, I'm in Chicago. Do you know anybody for me? And they sent me your phone number.
Absolutely. I remember the contact, and when Bracha says jump, we say how high, and we met you, and it was like instantly we were just so close. It was very special.
Yes, I like to say that you guys were my first friends in Chicago, because it was during COVID, and I'd been in my apartment alone for a few weeks. And
Crazy.
All the restaurants, all the bars, everything was closed. I think I would go to the grocery store, but my master's program was online. So I didn't even meet any friends through school.
Those were the good old days when the only socialization that young professionals get was to come to the rabbi's backyard or inside. We actually did it inside.
It was inside.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
So I came to you guys, and I think I came to you guys every week almost for like
great.
a couple months, and I was your only guest.
It was great. We had you all to ourselves.
Yes.
That was amazing. Eventually we started to share you with others. And then, so tell us also, so we're still in COVID, but coming out of a little bit, and maybe your journey with us in terms of classes and Shabbos, and then we'll get to some of the trips that you did.
Yeah, I mean, I went on quite a few trips with you guys.
We tried to do a Morocco trip in 2021.
Yeah.
And we were so close, but then Omicron came, and literally 2 weeks before the trip, Morocco closes their skies. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I happened to reach out, and someone said, a good buddy of mine, Rabbi Florence from Yehudi in Florida, is running a Poland trip. And I'm like, okay. I call him up. He's like, sure, come, whatever, whoever goes. And I'm thinking like, Morocco, Poland, how many people? So out of 14 people to Morocco, 6 people pivoted to Poland, and you were one of them.
I was. It was I probably cried more in that week than I ever cried in my entire life, which is really saying something. But also, it was like one of the best weeks that I probably ever had. Yeah. It was such an impactful trip. It opened my eyes to things that I had never even thought about. I met so many amazing people. gosh, there's just so much I could say
and it
about
reconnected to your ancestors. We looked up the names in the book.
Yes, we did. And it was just very impactful.
Yeah, Poland is hard to recruit for, but when people go on it, it is life-changing because it really forces us to all ask the question, what are we living for? If these Jews were killed because they were Jewish, then what does it mean for us to live as Jews? And I think it really made it in very stark contrast. Okay, they died for their Judaism. How do we live for our Judaism?
Exactly.
So New York, then we had a summit. This is part of the Olami thing, people from Europe and Israel, and it was like a whole summit. I know that was another experience that we had. And then we finally got to go to Morocco.
A year after.
A year later.
It was amazing. I had no idea that there was a lot of Jewish history in Morocco.
Yeah.
And I love the food, I love the culture, I love the people. Another group of amazing Jews that I still stay in touch with.
And that's sort of like our how we roll.
Yeah.
We try to find places that are where our young professionals want to go, but still have an amazing Jewish history. And so Morocco is incredible. Even before the Spanish expulsion in 1492, and then certainly afterwards was one of the main destinations afterwards. Lots of holy rabbis, buried there, and lots of, ironically, still Jews still living and thriving in Morocco. Who knew, right?
Yeah, one of the lines that Rabbi Rafi said on the trip that really stuck with me was we went to the mausoleum of the king who was alive during World War II.
King Mohammed V, right.
And he told us that when Hitler asked the king for his Jews, the king responded that there are no Jews in Morocco, only Moroccans.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so beautiful.
Amazing. Can you imagine, in Rabbi Rafi Garson of J-Roots, we like to partner with as much as we can, and you imagine the merit of this non-Jewish king, Muslim non-Jewish king, who has 250,000 Jews on his ledger, and all the commandments, mitzvahs, and good deeds that they owe it to him. It was a touching story. Okay, so you're in that now. In that certain time, you spent a few months in Israel as well, studying. So
Yes.
maybe tell us about that as well.
So I was taking classes at Aish, where I was learning all about Jewish history and Jewish law, Jewish lessons. I was there during Purim, and I went to classes reading through the Megillas Esther.
Nice.
That was
Beautiful.
awesome story. Love it. I still have my book that I used and the notes I took. Also, while I was there, I worked in a hospital.
Right.
A D Children's Hospital in Jerusalem, which was such an amazing experience, kind of living and working amongst the locals.
So you were studying there in learning Judaism, but you also still wanted to use your medical knowledge. Isn't she amazing? And helped. I remember there was one girl in particular you became very close with. You would visit her and take care of her.
There were a lot of people I became close with. The people of Israel are very warm, friendly. You would never be without Shabbos plans.
Always invited.
Always invited somewhere. Random people invite you.
Okay. Tell us now, so you're back, living, working. Tell us about the role in particular of the Jewish community for you. And there are many reasons why we wanted to honor India, but I think India in many ways represents the power of the Jewish community to adopt each other, really, and to take care of each other. So maybe tell us a little bit about the particularly West Rogers Park Jewish community, but it's really applicable to Jewish communities around the world.
Yeah, of course. So I've been here for 4.5 years, and in that time, I have become incredibly close with, not just one or two people, but multiple families here in West Rogers Park, and I love coming here. There's nothing quite like it. I have codes to people's houses.
You want to tell me what, Okay, no.
When I work at the hospital nearby, I've found myself on multiple occasions in the Volensky kitchen, eating snacks after work. Yeah, uninvited.
Now tell me, you actually with the Valensky family, we'll give Aviva and Ephraim Valensky.
I lived with them for a few months when I was between apartments.
They just invited you to...
Yeah, they knew that I needed somewhere to stay while I was between situations, and they invited me to live with them, and I stayed for like a few months, and they were sad when I left.
Imagine, it's so touching and so amazing that when you know, Judaism is not extracurricular activity. This is one of our big messages we try to get across, that it's the way you live. And you meet a family like the Valenskys who are just so giving. Judaism is not a book for them. Obviously, it's inspired and guided by the book, but they live these lessons of literally just inviting people into their home.
Yeah, they really do. And like sometimes I'll tell Aviva, oh, like I'm having friends over this weekend, you know, something like that. And she'll say like, oh, why don't you just bring them all over here? And I'll cook and then you don't have to do anything.
That is amazing.
It's really sweet.
That is amazing.
Is there a Mensch of the month here?
Whoa!
Oh, Mensch of the
We
month!
had to come to wish you a
Wow,
awesome
thanks,
Mensch of the month and
guys.
tell
Come on
everybody
in,
how
Ephraim.
amazing this Mensch is and how much
Mensch of the
she has
month.
accomplished.
Come on, Aviva,
Just
sit
like when you
down.
were in the principal's office.
Yeah.
This was a total setup, okay?
Yeah.
Wow, Mensch of the month.
I want to give you guys just a chance, a couple minutes. Okay, I just interviewed India about what it meant to be literally adopted by a family, like has the code to your house, comes by whenever. Okay, from your end, what does it mean? You're just gonna like open your house to someone? I mean, look, she doesn't look that dangerous, but okay, I mean, but like from your end, this is a novel concept for people, you know, in our orbit. They're like, you want me to spend the night at some random person's house? I'm like, dude, you could spend months at their house, and I have proof of it. So maybe as members of the community, just tell a little about what does it mean to like open your home and have an India as part of your life.
Having India is part of our life has really just makes us feel very lucky for what we have, first of all, in our own house with our family and everything, but also she brings a new energy and an excitement and a reminder of how lucky we are to be religious and all the things that come along with it. She also comes with a great boyfriend. Shout out to Shai. And yeah, we just feel really lucky to have more in our life and that we didn't ever know we could have. She's like not a big responsibility and she just brings a lot of positive.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's not, I guess because India is so great, it's not that weird to just adopt a 26-year-old. So,
Yeah, that's why we want to adopt her more.
yeah, I mean,
benefit,
so
right?
it wasn't it wasn't any type of like real, I guess maybe imposition you could say, or struggle or whatever. India was just great from the first times that she started coming to the neighborhood for Shabbos, and I think you guys had her eat by us first, and then maybe she decided to stay by us, and particularly about India, knowing as we got to know her more and hearing her story and understanding her depth and really understanding on maybe what drew her to wanting to become closer to Yiddishkeit, it gave us an opportunity to say, hey, I mean, we're nerds and dopes, but like if she feels comfortable in our house and we're able to create a situation that really makes her feel that she could be part of something that she's looking for, then it was just an awesome opportunity for us.
Tell us about like the siblings, like your children in India, and like what's going on. You have some older girls.
Yeah, so our kids, you know, they love India. They know that she's part of our family. A couple years after we got to know India, we went to my parents in Miami. We live in Miami. That's where I grew up for Pesach, and
It was her best Pesach.
yeah, it was India's best Pesach ever. She came along with us, and
Shared
she
a
was
room with my daughter. ate
yeah,
with my in-laws.
right, yeah,
It was
exactly,
great.
yep,
Every
yep.
day.
So yes, yeah,
Three
yeah.
times a day.
So yeah, I mean, India was just one of our kids, and so luckily, me and Aviva are so old that India, even at her age, could still be one of our children. So
But in all honesty, Ellen said, she has a special connection with my son, but I think that all my kids just appreciate her honesty and authenticity, and she just fits in. She's not I mean, we're talking about you like you're not here. You're not needy, meaning she's just part of the family. So if we're all acting stupid, she acts stupid. If everyone's serious, she's serious. They get in actually very interesting discussions with her, especially the Pesach by us, about why you do the things you do. And I think that brings a lot of value to my kids as they grow up, to realize that there's other things out there, there's other parts of the world, there's other ways of seeing things, but yet it's all grounded in Judaism. And from my kids who ask, like, why did you do it? Why are you involved if you don't have to be? Like, I think that offers them a lot of insight to the beauty of what Judaism is all about. I would just like to comment that we're all matching completely unintentionally for anyone who's watching this. It's a little embarrassing, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add on to that also that it's when people grow up in an Orthodox home, you can grow up siloed into just thinking in a box and getting a perspective of someone who didn't grow up that way and is able to talk about what it means to them. It actually adds a lot of value to my children to be able for them to be thankful and to give Hakar Sato for all the things that they have and for the family that they have.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, I joke, I'm a very unpopular guy here in the Orthodox community in West Rogers Park because people come up to me and say, hey, why aren't you sending me your participants? What's going on? I want some young professionals. And that's an ethic. But I think what you guys have done is you've taken it to the next level. You really have opened your homes, and let's face it, it's a risk. You open your home, it means opening your home emotionally and everything like that. And I just, hats off, keep a tip, okay, to Valensky's. And in my mind, when I'm looking at, there's only so many people on our staff. There's only so many people that we can have relationships with. And we need the community. The Jewish people need the community. If Jewish outreach is just going to be the few people on staff and the relationships and the time, then it's too slow. We need to reach all the amazing Indias out there. And how many amazing Indias? And it took a bracha zera. Yeah, one.
That's right.
But okay, but it took a bracha zera to the UCLA thing. Like, should I ask if she's Jewish or not? And she did, right? And all the families and the Greenberg family to recommend UCLA, and then meeting us, and then the Valenskys. It takes a village. And in my mind, if I'm writing the script, we're the funnel into the community, and everyone should be a smidgen of what the Valenskys are. You are the real model of opening yourself up to say, hey, it's weird. Secular people don't spend the night at people's houses. But you took the leap of faith, and you did, and it's just been amazing. So you guys are my models about how to do this whole thing, and I want to thank you all for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Okay.
you.
All right.
India.
Final word from India about, we're dating. Everyone, all the guys out there are wondering. They want to know what's going on.
I am in a relationship.
Okay. Does he have approval? We're good?
He's a great guy. Yeah, we've met him a number of times. We've spent a lot of time with him. He's fabulous.
Talented.
Okay. God bless. Thank you, everyone. And a big mazel tov to India, the Mensch of the month. Hey!